I'm Bill.
And I'm Candace.
And we're the Disruptors.
Hey, you're on your game today.
Hey, I was ready. I was excited. I got here. The nice guy that you got out there helped me out of my chair and put me in my wheelchair. It was just fantastic.
Oh, that must be Don. He does our landscaping.
I noticed also a beautiful picture of Roger that's at the front where the monument.
The memorial?
Right. Poor Roger.
Yeah, the monument of Roger.
I miss Roger. Roger's great. Today we are going to attack, and then there was silence.
Well, I wasn't quite prepared, but we're going to attack. Well, okay, so today what we're going to attack... I thought you had more to say.
No, I just stopped there and waited for the piano player. And
well, occasionally we go through, our emails, and I go back through some of the questions that I get asked periodically. And so one of the questions, though, that I think is really relevant to today, and that is, the question that I was asked was, what industries, that are operating, could we decrease or increase to solve social issues?
Boy, now there's a question.
I know, right?
Would that cover the homeless and all that other stuff that we've talked about throughout the last year and a half?
Well, I don't know, because you remember, everything's business.
Well, that's business.
So,
I know.
Even air. I mean, the pharmaceutical companies own your DNA, so,
that's true.
Everything is for sale. So there was actually two of the things that I had commented on. Speaking to a vegetarian. That's right. That's, and the whole entire need of, no animal. We don't want to eat any animals because of the cruelty.
That's right.
So let's just take a look at the agricultural and farming, industry. Do you know that if we actually made them less profitable, we would not have the waste that we have now? Now, I'm all for them, and I'm talking about, the amount of food that we throw away.
Yes, tons of food.
Yes. Do you know that we could actually feed the world?
Isn't that amazing? But yet we throw it in the garbage can.
Okay, so let's look at it. So it's for profits. That's why we shoot up our animals with chemicals. That's why we spray, Roundup on our vegetables. That's why all of those types of things. Why? Because we need everything to be picture perfect, and we need for our profits to be high. We need to be in the black, not the red. And if we took just that industry, because I know I'm going to get tons of emails and people commenting on this, which I love.
Yeah.
So thank you for writing in advance. Thank you for, throwing out your opinions. I appreciate that. But if we really looked at it and we produced what the consumption would be, instead of us just producing animals, vegetables, minerals, and all the different meats, if we did that, and I'm not saying they shouldn't make money, but their motivation is profitability, which means the quality of food that you get can be garbage. And I like to think sometimes health issues and things like that all the new cancers, so on and so forth, that comes from us being full or, starving on full tummies. I didn't want to take it in that direction, but what I do want to say, and that is for the amount of food, for the dollars for donuts, we're the sickest nation in the world.
Isn't that amazing? And our obesity rate is tremendously high. Well, and don't you think that's because we've taken the nutrients out of by forcing these vegetables and stuff to grow?
Well, you're motivated by money, right? So in order for me to keep things going, I don't care if it's nutrient dense. I don't care about the quality. What I care about is, does the carrot look straight? Did it grow straight? That's right. Is it orange? When I buy chicken and chicken doesn't look pink enough, well, it's because we didn't feed the chickens enough arsenic. Because that makes chicken breasts look pinker. You go in and you start looking at all this. Hey, we're motivated because that's part of what the system is. I'm not against the system. I'm not against, don't hate the player, hate the game, don't like the rules, change them.
Well, yes, I can understand that.
But this is one way that we can take an industry and solve some social issues. And that social issue is starvation. Our homeless need food too.
Yes, they do.
Okay, so we could solve an issue. That leads into our healthcare costs. But I'm not going to go there right now. So we don't
that would be a real discussion on the the cost and the actual quality of health care. Maybe we'll bring that up in another discussion.
Maybe we'll do that.
Yeah, maybe we'll do that.
So if we took that industry, though, and we didn't make it for profit, what? That's changing the complete mindset of how we view things. And if it's really, which will probably never happen in our lifetime, right? I mean, because it's all about making money.
True.
Because it's a business.
Well,
and the business has to survive. I'm not against farmers getting paid. And there's lots of farmers that get paid to not grow food, to keep stock prices higher. Okay, so, I mean, there's the game, right? Don't hate the players. Hate the game. If you don't like the rules, change the rules. So, but if we actually made that, where we're not making million and billionaires to companies that sell all of the Roundup or whatever the item might be, then that right there takes away, takes away the incentive to just shove stuff at people and not have any quality. So the other industry, I'm going to only do two.
Only two industries.
Only two.
We're going to disrupt two. Okay.
And so is actually the other industry is where you would not be able to make billionaires off of sick people. Whether that's through the pharmaceutical
research.
Absolutely.
Yes.
At what point? Well, because it's that industry is very, to me, it can be very dirty and offensive. Why should we do drug tests or trial tests on poor villages in Africa?
Oh, true.
Well, they're individuals that they don't know. Ignorance is always bliss. That's horrible. And there's a moral issue there. But when did we say that becoming a billionaire was okay off of sick people?
No, we never have.
Well,
but yet we do it.
And it's completely acceptable.
I think that the worst one that you look at in that particular industry is the pharmaceutical industry. The small amount, of course, of making a pill that will handle a disease, I can understand takes years and years of research because they've got to go through the FDA and all the other government facilities that check for quality of drugs. And I can understand that they copyright, I believe is the word we use, and after the copyright is gone, the patent is gone, then they can lower the price down, and that's where we get the generics, supposedly. Okay, you can explain to me that how maybe 2 years or $5 million of research, let's just use $5 million, 10 or 20 years later is finally covered, and nobody's making a great amount of money in between? Does that explain why just recently they showed a gentleman who had an 82-foot yacht that's ahead of a pharmaceutical research company that comes over here and parks his yacht in Seattle occasionally just to stop in for dinner, of course? How can these people understand a disease and have a driving, interest in helping people build a product like that and then turn around and just keep on filling the coffers?
Well, if we actually made it to where, money was not the end game, okay, then we could actually have universal health care and still do the research and still have breakthroughs. But we're not motivated by that, Bill. We're motivated by, one, keeping people sick, because the more sicker people that we have, the more money we get to make.
No, that's true. More car payments we make.
It's an industry that really needs to be dismantled. I mean, because, now, mind you, we're talking about industries that can solve social issues. So a social issue is, I need health care.
Right.
Okay, so if we restructured the whole entire industry, now, it's a mindset. It probably will never happen. These questions were posed to me, so I'm just throwing them out there. But, so, we shouldn't be mad at the CEO, right? Because he's just playing the game.
No, that's true. He's
so,
just playing the game.
the fact of the matter is that as a society, it shouldn't be celebrated that you're making money on sick and dying people.
Very true, and that's exactly what's happening.
So if we made people healthy, then one, we wouldn't have the healthcare costs, right? They would be more productive. There's a variety of other things, right?
So if you really looked at the question then in the breakdown of exactly what it's costing for healthcare as an industry versus how and what they're doing for society as far as helping society and helping the social aspect of it, we're really out of balance.
We're totally out of balance.
We're really, really out of balance.
So instead, what they would rather do is say, hey, we've got all these drugs, and if we can just raise taxes, or hey, you know what? If we can, once again, it's going to be a tax number, right? If we can put that burden off on the people or off on the businesses, then you know what? We can give universal health care. We'll make a business owner pay for everybody to have health care coverage because everybody needs and deserves health care coverage. Oh, but we'll make sure that industry is making more money or up in profitability over 400%. But that's okay. So who gets the prize? The pharmaceutical or individuals that are in that.
That's exactly right.
In the meantime, you have, little hot pockets of, hospitals, outreaches that are trying to make a difference, but they get really no help nor support.
Community clinics and things of that nature, yes, and they don't get support.
So that's an industry that could help solve, it'd be changing the mindset instead of where they would be rewarded, not in profitability. I'm not saying they shouldn't make any money. Let's not act crazy. It is still a business.
Right.
I don't think, though, they should be making the amount. And remember, these pharmaceuticals aren't just going here in the United States. It's going all the way around the world. So they're not just making money here. But what they'll do is when interferon, which was a hepatitis C, regiment, when they did that, it cost here in the United States $10,000 a treatment. Okay, this was several years ago. And if you were in Europe getting interferon treatments, it was like $50. So who paid for that transaction?
Taxpayers.
Okay, so healthcare, insurance, out of pocket. Okay, so Americans paid more than the Europeans.
Which is an imbalance, as far as I'm concerned.
We talk about universal, right? Universal healthcare. And, everybody should have, access. It's not a right. You shouldn't wake up one morning and all of a sudden, you should have a right to own a home that's not how our country, right for good health, all of these.
All those
right?
things, yes.
But I don't feel that we should be rewarding billionaires when we have so many people that are getting so sick. So there's two industries that ducktail right next to each other, right? Mm-hmm. If you had better quality of food and that wasn't the farmers and that whole industry was not motivated by money to just produce, then the quality of food would go up. We would not be the grocery store wouldn't have as much because it would be based on consumption and loss, right?
Loss, sure.
So you've got loss that comes in. Then you've got the medical industry that we would decrease
because
the profitability
people are healthier.
Because they're healthier. That's it. They don't need the drugs. And we wouldn't be making billionaires and celebrating the fact of people dying and that they're laying in hospital beds sick.
And we would also, I think that the draw point, especially in healthcare, is while this is going on and while the prices are going up and everything, the senior citizens in their golden years, underline the word golden years, suffer because they can't afford to get those drugs.
They should be celebrated. They've given the best years of their life.
And get the least at the end.
Absolutely. Why? Because they're a silent majority, right? And they're the silent voice.
Well, and if they don't have the money, we're not going to talk to them anyway because we're going to go after the ones that are making the money.
Absolutely.
That we can wager to get that high profit out of because they have to have it and they have a means of getting it.